The following scenes must be analyzed properly if we are to get the true character of the Davidians. What we see here is a man coming to a doorway asking for peace. What he is saying is that, I have something to tell you. You've got 3 men hurt in here bad. This is an overt act on the Davidians to stop the carnage that has been going on for over half an hour. The only reason that the assault on the Davidian complex was stopped was because Wayne Martin called 911, the sheriff's office in Waco, and arranged for a ceasefire. This is how it stopped. The carnage that went on was reported to be terrible. 4 ATF men dead, 14 to 16 wounded, and 5 Davidians reported dead, and an unknown number of wounded. Yeah.
Ambulance, got it!
The independent investigative team must ask the serious question: what crimes have been committed by the ATF forces in this assault on the Davidian complex? Why hasn't the media reported these crimes?
Think back on these images in your mind. The tree where the reporters were, the 4-story tower that eventually became David Koresh's bedroom, ATF carrying the dead bodies off the roof, and of course what was thought to be Koresh's bedroom, but of course was just empty. We now know these things, and we can ask questions that need to be answered. Please join us in our call for an independent investigation. The man on the roof with the blood trail from his head was killed needlessly by the officer who asked, "Who's on the roof?" Once again, friendly fire.
Are these the victors or the oppressors? These are the weapons that are reported by ATF to be used inside the complex, and are legal weapons that can be owned by any American.
Back in Mount Carmel, ATF and other police agencies surrounded the compound, and the long standoff began. So did the post-mortem of the ray. Why it failed depends on who's talking for ATF on what day.
It appears that they knew we were coming, yes.
The main problem we had, I don't believe, is that we were outmaneuvered or outplanned. The problem we had is that we were outgunned. You know, they had bigger firearms than we had. They were able to shoot through doors, and due to that, you know, a lot of our agents were hurt.
What we had was someone who eliminated the element of surprise, which is what we needed, and in so doing, our agents walked into an ambush, and we'll find out who did that.
The tragedy of this whole affair is that people were killed on both sides. On the ATF, there are families who must now mourn the people that have been killed. On the Davidian side, there are only a few survivors. Why wasn't this plan of attack on a church complex more properly executed, more properly planned? Surely there's a crime that police officers should be able to understand the situations into which they go, and they should be protected. If the sheriff could have gone and arrested Mr. Koresh earlier, if Koresh had brought all his guns to the sheriff and shown them to him because someone said they had illegal weapons and that none were found, surely that could have been repeated. Is it necessary that this man, this ATF man, should have lost his life? Did he get killed by his own people inadvertently or on purpose? We must ask the questions, and we must find the answers. This should never happen again in America. This is America. This is not Nazi Germany. This is not Stalinist, communist Russia. This is America. Where do these people come from? Who directs them, and for what purpose? We must find those answers. There are crimes clearly committed here. Is this a scene that should be repeated in America again? We do not think so. We do not think that the majority of Americans believe that it should ever occur again, or believe that it should have ever occurred in the first place, when the local sheriff could have taken care of it. What jurisdiction does the ATF have in Texas or any other state? We must find out. We must ask the question. It cannot be left to people who we do not know, who we do not elect. Who is in charge of this fiasco? Why did it happen? Will it happen again? We must find the answers.
McLemore's news unit was used to transport some of the wounded agents. Currently, his bosses are consulting with attorneys before issuing a statement.
The investigative team must find out why this could ever happen in America.
That there will be agents suspended or fired as a result of what happened. Can you talk about that at all?
What I had mentioned, we're extremely proud of what happened out there, how our agents conducted themselves under some unbelievable circumstances.
Just were these unbelievable circumstances referred to by the ATF spokesman? We need to know. The investigating team must have the final answer on what really went on. We hear many stories. Many of them are contradictory. We don't know if this is because the press is not reporting a full story or if they were censored. If there was censorship, what about the First Amendment? What can we do to prevent anything like this happening again? This is an assault on the rights of Americans, on their sovereign rights as citizens of the state of Texas and of this great United States. Can we allow this kind of action to go on with a police force over which we have no control, no say, and that can blatantly mix up its stories and expect the public to believe that they are correct all the time? Look how far from the scene of the actual complex that these media trucks were. Why was it necessary to remove them 2 miles or more from the scene? What shall we do in the future so that we'll never have this happen again?
Why was this young man murdered? On the top of the water tower, his body lay for 8 days before on March 8th, the FBI announced that they would allow the Davidians to have a proper burial for him. His name was Peter Gent from Australia, shot by a sniper bullet the evening after the initial raid. Armed only with a rust scraper, he had come out of the water tower after a long day's work inside scraping rust. We have to ask the question, why did the FBI come back on Thursday's press conference following the Sunday he was killed and try to explain away his death as part of a 3-man assault upon a 500-member law enforcement team? It just doesn't make sense. In typical FBI HRT, that's hostage rescue team tactics, the FBI removes the body under the cover of darkness with a helicopter grappling hook. It was so decayed by the 8th day that one of the legs that the grappling hook was attached to tore loose and the body fell to the ground. The Davidians were allowed to bury the remains near the north end of the complex the following day. Can we please allow Mr. Gent's family to exhume his remains?